So it's time for us to go and take a look at the Magic Keyboard 2 and see how the specific keyboard holds up in 2023. Now, the first thing I'll definitely tell you is that this has been the main keyboard I've been using for the last several years. I've had two of them. The first one I bought I think in 2017, and I did end up replacing it in 2020 because I spilled a bunch of water on it. But weirdly enough, that keyboard does still randomly work, and I still use it for a different Mac, so it's actually quite reliable. But this is my main keyboard. And I will tell you, I've had a fantastic time with it. I think Apple did a great job with these, keyboards, and I think they're quite future-proofed. What can Apple add here that they haven't already added? The Magic Keyboard 3, I guess, the third generation of that keyboard, does bring a Touch ID sensor, which is really nice. But for those of you who don't really care about that kind of stuff, this keyboard I think is still very useful, still very powerful. And if you're in the market, I would 100% recommend picking it up. So links will be down in the description. If you want to get them from there, you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of this keyboard, you can kind of see that there is kind of, it's not a crazy design keyboard. It looks fairly plain, but that is kind of why I like this keyboard. Although it doesn't have any crazy lights flashing around it, or it doesn't look super crazy, I think Apple did a great design of creating a keyboard that was very minimalistic. And it is almost exactly the same thing. If you're going through and you're opening up your MacBook, it's going to be almost the same type of keyboard experience that you're getting on this keyboard rather than on another type of keyboard right there. So I think that in and of itself is very, very cool. And that screams wonders to me. I love this type of keyboard because of that. And like I mentioned, I think Apple did a tremendous job when they first originally designed this keyboard. Now on the back side of this keyboard, you do have a lightning port. Now, this was a big change coming from its previous keyboard, which was that, Magic Keyboard 1. And that specific keyboard basically had, it was like a battery replacement, which some people may prefer, but I actually like this lightning port. The reason for that is because, for one, you can charge the specific keyboard via, your wireless method. You can charge this keyboard if you want to by, plugging it in. But another thing I like about this keyboard is that if I'm quickly trying to connect this to several different Macs at one point, I don't have to go and put this thing in a weird pairing mode. I don't have to go and deal with that and go into Bluetooth settings. I can just literally just plug this keyboard into any of my Macs via the lightning connector, and it will automatically connect in and automatically pair with that device. And that is something I really do like about this keyboard as well. It's just so seamless in that direction, and everything just kind of works from there. Now on the bottom of this keyboard, there's really not a whole lot else going on here either. It's pretty basic, just like the Apple logo right there as well. And that kind of covers it up on the outside. Now there is a tapered edge to this, so it kind of starts at a thick point and goes down to a thinner point. Majority of keyboards are like that. But that's something I like about this keyboard too, mostly because the design, like I said before, it just looks like a very, very good, premium keyboard. So that in and of itself is a very nice thing that Apple did here. And overall, the design wise of this, keyboard has been pretty good so far. Now, in terms of the connectability and pairability, this specific keyboard can work with any keyboard that you're ever going to use, or any PC, anything like that. It's going to be pretty much the same type of experience. So you're not really going to be missing out on too much there. So if you're trying to wonder if this thing's going to, work with your controller or work with your PC, it probably will. So you won't really have to worry about that. But I would still recommend making sure your PC or your device still is compatible with these types of keyboards. Now the other thing, if you're trying to get this keyboard to do a lot of gaming on, that is something that I've heard a lot of people have issues with. It looks like there's not it seems like people prefer other types of keyboards rather than this one if they're doing things like gaming, or if they're doing things anything in that direction. So I think that is probably one thing to keep in mind there too. Although it's not the biggest deal in the world or anything like that, that is still something to kind of keep in mind, and that in and of itself is a very, very important thing to keep in mind there too, because you don't just want to buy a keyboard and then just use it for productivity things. If you want a general keyboard, I think this is good. I've gamed on this keyboard a lot, and it's definitely not the best experience. I usually use a, PS5, controller, to be honest. But for everything I've done productivity related, whether it's, editing videos, going on Photoshop, editing audio, writing papers, whatever I have to do, this thing has done a great job and I've had a great time with it. So overall, what I'll definitely tell you, my experience with the Magic Keyboard 2 has been very good. I've enjoyed the Magic Keyboard 2 a lot, and I think it's a really good pickup. It's not perfect, I think, again, maybe the battery life. The battery life is excellent, to be honest. I'm trying to think, maybe this thing I wish did have a Touch ID sensor. Maybe some more lights on this thing would have been cool. And maybe if it was a little bit more gaming centric, maybe it would have been a little bit awesome too. But I think regardless, this is a very, very good, keyboard. and I think it still will hold the test of time for many, many years to come. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.